The prison ship floated in deep space. Silent, empty, dark it was called. The Dagger, a black military ship that never showed up on scanners, it was made to carry only one prisoner. No one knew where it flew from or where it was going. Its orders were secret. Its mission locked inside the ship. Everything was quiet, except for one room. In the center of that room was a large cryopod. Cold steam leaked from its sides. The lights above it blinked red. A warning signal flashed on the wall. DOE. Not open. Threat level. Extinction. The girl inside looked about 20. Her hair floated softly in the cold mist. She seemed human, but something was wrong. Her skin was pale like snow. Her eyes were glowing faintly blue, even while closed. She had been frozen for 10 years, but something changed that night. A meteor storm, fast and wild, struck the Dagger. The ship's shields were weak. The ship took hit after hit until the engines exploded. Fire filled the halls. Metal cracked. Systems failed. The prison ship began to fall. It dropped fast toward a small, human outpost on a frozen moon called Mira-7. The crash shook the ice plains for miles. Alarms rang across the colony. The wreck burned in the snow, smoke rising high. The human colony. Commander sent a rescue team. But by the time they arrived, the fire had cooled on. All crew inside the ship were dead. All except one. His name was Rayan Vale, a repair engineer who was in the cargo bay during the crash. He had survived under a pile of fireproof panels. Rayan was quiet. He didn't talk much, but he was smart. He fixed machines better than anyone. When he woke, bleeding from the head, he saw something that made him freeze. The cryopod was still, working, and inside. She was waking up. The glass hissed. Steam rolled out. The blue glow from her eyes lit the dark. Rayan stepped back. He read the red warning light flashing near. Her pod. She is not what she seems. Do not wake her. But she was already awake. The girl opened her eyes fully. Her breath was slow. Around and sat up, her eyes met his. Bright, cold, not angry, not afraid, just calm. Rayan raised his hands. Not here to hurt you, he said, trying to keep his voice steady. She tilted her head. Are you human? She asked, her voice soft and strange. Yes, he said. Who are you? She didn't answer. She touched her head as if trying to remember something. Then she looked at the flames outside the cracked ship walls. Where are the others? She asked. They're dead, Rayan said. You and I? We're the only ones alive. She looked down, silent. Then she said, good. That one word made his chest go cold. Rayan didn't know what to do. The warning signs, the strange eyes, her calm voice, it all felt wrong, but she didn't attack. She didn't yell. She just sat there, watching the snow outside. Rayan helped her out of the pod. Her steps were slow, weak. But she moved like someone who had trained for war. Her balance was perfect. Her eyes never blinked. They walked together out of the broken ship into the cold wind. The sky was gray. The wreck behind them crackled with soft fire. Rayan led her to a hidden path that went under the colony, a place only engineers knew about. He wasn't sure why he was helping her. Maybe it was her face. She looked lost. God. When they reached his underground bunker, she finally spoke again. Why did you save me? She asked. Rayan sat down, wiping blood from his forehead. I don't know, he said truthfully. She looked at him for a long time. Then she asked, are humans still kind? Rayan hesitated. He thought about war, about the council, about how humans had become cold, cruel, always fighting for power. But he looked at her and said, yes, some are. She nodded slowly. Then, I'll stay hidden. For now. He looked at her. Why were you locked in that ship? She didn't answer. She walked to the corner and sat with her back to the wall. After a while, she whispered, because they were afraid of what I could become. Rayan stared at her. What can you become? She looked at him and her eyes glowed brighter, like twin stars in the dark. I don't know anymore, she said. Just then, an alarm beeped from Rayan's console. Message blinked on the screen. Unknown energy signal detected. Multiple ships. Approaching from orbit. Scanning for life form. Subject Zeta. Rayan looked at the girl. She didn't move. She just stared at the screen. "They're coming for me," she said. Rayan's heart raced. "Who?" She stood up calm again. "The galaxy." Rayan had seen many strange things in his life as an engineer, but nothing like her. She sat in the corner of his underground shelter, still and silent. She didn't eat, she didn't sleep, she only watched. Sometimes Rayan caught her staring at her own hands like they were weapons. Her name. She didn't give one. "Remember," she had said, but she remembered pain. Every few hours, she whispered words that made no sense. Project Zeta, ... core collapse. Protocol void light. Awan didn't understand. But one thing was clear, she was not normal. Above them, ships had landed near the crash site. Rayan checked his scanner. At least 3 alien teams had arrived. Not just scavengers. These were trained soldiers. One team was from the Aethery, a race of golden-skinned warriors. Another, from the insect-like Vrox. The last one, he didn't recognize. Tall, armored, and silent, they weren't here to help. They were looking for her. The colony's commander sent out warnings to all residents. Stay inside. Stay silent. Do not interfere with the investigation of the crash, but it was already too late. They had picked up the energy signal from her waking up. The bounty on her was now public. A message spread across the galactic net. Subject Zeta has escaped. Containment. Approach with caution. Reward: 900,000 credits dead or alive. Rayan turned off his screen. He turned to the girl. "You're in danger. I'll search everywhere." She nodded. "I know." "Why are they after you?" Rayan asked again. She looked up. "Because I was made for war, and I refused to fight." He didn't understand. "You were built." She stood and walked to a mirror on the wall. She touched her reflection gently. "I was not born like others," she said. "I was created. In a lab, they wanted a weapon that looked human but wasn't. I was perfect, until I said no." Her voice was calm, but Rayan saw pain in her eyes that were still glowing blue. "When I ran," she continued, "they chased me. They said I destroyed cities. Maybe I did. I don't remember everything." Rayan stood quietly. His heart was heavy. She didn't act like a killer, but what if she had been one? Still, she was here now, scared, alone, and something inside Rayan told him to believe her. Suddenly, alarms rang through the colony. Loud, sharp, and real. The Vrox team had found pieces of the prison ship's black box. Rayan knew what that meant. The data inside would lead them straight to his shelter. He grabbed a small bag. "We have to go now." She didn't move. "What is it?" he asked. She whispered, "They'll never stop chasing me." Rayan grabbed her hand. "Then let's stay ahead of them." She looked surprised. "Why help me?" He paused, then said, "Because you haven't hurt me. And I think you don't want to." For the first time, a small smile touched her lips. Didn't last long, but it was real. They ran through the maintenance tunnels, dark, narrow paths under. The Ice Rayan knew these tunnels better than anyone. But the alien teams were already scanning for movement. They passed a security camera. A red light blinked. "They'll see us," she warned. "I know," Rayan replied. "We just need to reach the lower vents. I have a way out." Behind them, they heard something metal hit the floor. A tracker. It beeped faster as it locked onto her signal. She froze. "I can stop it," she said. Rayan turned to see her raise her hand toward the device. Her fingers shook. Soft blue light formed in her palm. The tracker exploded. No wires, no tools. Just her mind and energy rewinds. What was that? She looked afraid. It's what they fear. I can break things just by thinking. I don't know how to stop it. Rayan stared at her. Her face looked human, but her power was something else. They reached the outer vents of the colony. Snow blew through the cracks. Cold wind bit at their faces. Rayan pulled her into a narrow crevice. "We'll hide here till nightfall. Then we'll move again, she nodded. For a long moment they said nothing. Then she whispered, "They never gave me a name." Rayan looked at her. "Do you want one?" She blinked. "Yes." He thought for a moment. "How about Lyra?" She smiled softly. "Lyra, I like it." Rayan nodded. "Okay, Lyra. We survived this together." Far above them, a bounty hunter stepped off his ship. He was not from any known race. His armor was dark silver, his eyes covered by a glowing mask. He said nothing, just stared at the ice plains. He picked up the energy trace. "Target located," he said into his comms. The ground cracked slightly under his boots. He had hunted monsters before, but this time the monster looked like a girl. Snow covered the land around Myra 7. The wreck of the prison ship still burned in the ice. Smoke rose high into the gray sky. But the real danger wasn't in the fire. It was walking silently across the snow. He was called Drek Varuin, the most feared bounty hunter in the galaxy. No one knew where he was born. Some said he was once part of a shadow army. Others believed he wasn't even alive, just a machine made to kill. But one thing was true. He never failed. He stood tall, wearing silver-black armor. His eyes were hidden behind a red glass visor. He didn't speak much. Don't need to. His weapons spoke for him now. His target was Lyra. Rayan and Lyra had been hiding in the mountain caves near the colony for almost a full day. Rayan's old shelter was no longer safe. The alien soldiers were searching every tunnel. They moved. Carefully, quietly. But Lyra could feel something was wrong. "He's close," she said. Her voice was flat, but her eyes were glowing brighter now. "Someone powerful." Rayan adjusted the scanner on his wrist. "I don't see anyone." Lyra stared into the dark. "He won't. He's not like others. He hides his signal. But I can feel him." Rayan believed her. Her senses had been right before. And if someone like her was afraid, it meant this hunter was different. Drek moved fast. No noise, no mistakes. He had already found part of the girl's trail. The burst of energy she used on the tracker left a mark in the snow. Invisible to most, but not to him. He stopped outside a sealed cave entrance. He touched the wall. Warm. She had passed through here. He smiled under his mask. He left a small drone to scan the area and moved forward. She wouldn't escape again. Inside the cave, Rayan and Lyra rested beside a small heat lamp. Rayan gave Lyra a jacket. She didn't shiver, but she still accepted it. "You okay?" Rayan asked. Lyra looked at him. "I don't feel pain like you, but I know fear." Rayan nodded slowly. "Do you remember who made you?" "Humans." She replied, "But not kind ones. You didn't see me as a person, just a tool." Rayan sat beside her. "You're not a tool." She looked away. "I wanted to believe that once." Suddenly her eyes turned sharp. She stood. "He's here." The cave exploded. A blast came from behind. Rocks shattered. Dust filled the air. Rayan coughed and reached for Lyra. But a tall figure stepped through the smoke. Drek Varuin. His voice was deep and cold. "Subject Zeta, you are ordered to surrender." Lyra didn't move. Her hands glowed softly, but she held back. Rayan stepped between them. "She's not hurting anyone." Drek tilted his head. "You are not part of this. Step aside." Rayan didn't move. Drek raised his arm. A energy cannon locked onto Rayan's chest. "I said step aside." But before he could fire, Lyra raised her hand. The cannon crushed itself. It bent like paper wires snapping. Drek dropped it and leaped forward. Lyra moved faster than any human. She dodged his strike, but he was strong. He hit the ground where she had stood, and the stone cracked beneath his fist. Rayan ran to the side, shouting, "Lyra, don't kill him." Lyra's glow grew stronger, but she held back. She didn't want to kill, not again. Drek drew a second weapon, sonic blade. It vibrated as he swung. He cut part of her arm. Blue light, not blood, leaked out. Lyra gasped, pain but not fear. She looked into Drek's visor. "You don't understand. I don't want to fight." "Then surrender." "No." She placed her hand on the wall. A wave of energy blasted from her palm. The cave shook. Rocks fell. The ceiling began to collapse. Rayan screamed, "Get out!" Drek jumped back through the hole he came from. Lyra grabbed Rayan and ran the other way. The cave fell in behind them. They ran for miles through the frozen tunnels. Rayan's chest burned. His legs ached. But Lyra didn't slow down. Finally, they reached a frozen lake deep under the ice. There was no sound, just cold silence. Rayan collapsed on the ground, breathing hard. Lyra sat beside him, holding her glowing arm. It slowly healed before his eyes. He stared at her, could have killed him. "I didn't want to," she whispered. "I never want to again," Rayan asked. "What happens when they send more?" Lyra looked at the stars through the ice above them. They always send more. Meanwhile, Drek climbed out of the broken cave. His armor was damaged. His cannon destroyed, but he was smiling. "She held back," he said quietly. "She could have killed me, but she didn't." He opened a private cum line to his client, the Galactic Council. "She's alive," he said. "But she's not. The same as the reports. She's thinking. Choosing," the Council replied coldly. "Doesn't matter. Bring her in. Or kill her." Drek looked at the frozen sky. "She's not a monster," he said to himself. "Not yet." Rayan sat near the frozen lake, his back against the cold wall of the ice cavern. His hands were shaking not from the cold, but from fear, the cave-in, the fight. The way Lyra had stopped that hunter's weapon with her mind, it all replayed in his head like a dream or a nightmare. Lyra stood nearby, silent. Her arm had healed. She watched the surface of the frozen water as if she could see beyond it into the stars. Into her past, Rayan finally spoke. "You didn't kill him?" She nodded. "I tried not to. I tried to kill you." "I know." Rayan didn't understand. "Why hold back?" Lyra turned to him. Her blue eyes were soft now. "Because if I kill again, I don't know who I'll become. It's far away, in the hidden systems of the Galactic Council." Her memories were being unlocked. Someone somewhere had accessed the black box from the prison ship. Inside were files, logs, video records, Project Zeta. A young girl, barely 10, standing in a white room. Wires in her arms, machines around her. Men and women in lab coats watching her with cold eyes. They tested her strength. Her mind, her will, pushed the target, one scientist said. "Make it burn," said another. The girl obeyed. Until one day, she didn't. That was the day the fire started. She had screamed on, the entire lab caught fire without a single match. Only 2 people survived after that. She was labeled dangerous, unstable, a threat to the galaxy, but none of them asked her how she felt. Back in the cave, Lyra sat beside Rayan. "I see pieces," she said, "flashes of a lab, a burning room, screaming." Rayan listened closely. "I don't remember my parents. I don't know if I ever had any, but I remember the pain." Rayan reached into his bag and handed her a small device. "Here," he said. "You can use this to keep notes, your memories. Maybe it'll help." Lyra held it like a fragile thing. "Thank you." She looked at him. "You believe me, don't you?" Rayan nodded. "I do." And he meant it. She wasn't evil. She wasn't a weapon. She was a girl who had been forced to become something else, but they weren't safe yet. From a nearby ridge, hidden behind crystal frost, someone watched them. Not Drek. This time, it was the Vrox. The insectoid creatures had finally tracked them. Sharp legs, green armor, their eyes glowed orange. And they had one order from their queen. Bring the girl back, or leave no survivors. The Vrox captain clicked his mandibles and gave the signal. They would attack at dawn that night. Rayan and Lyra sat near a small fire. Not from power cells, just real fire made from scrap wood. Rayan stared into the flames. "What would you do if you were free?" Lyra thought for a long time. Then said, "I would fly, not to escape, just to see what's out there." He smiled. "Maybe we can still make that happen." She looked at him, unsure. "You'd come with me?" Rayan shrugged. "Why not? I fix ships. We crush weapons. Good team." She actually laughed, a small, soft sound that echoed in the cold cave. It was the first time she'd laughed in years. Morning came. Too fast. The cave lit up with sunlight, reflecting through the ice above. Then dash explosions. The ice wall shattered. The fire went out. And the Vrox stormed in. Rayon grabbed Lyra's hand. Run. They bolted through a side tunnel, but the Vrox were fast climbing walls, leaping across the cave like insects with blades. One Vrox reached Rayon and slashed his arm. He fell hard. Lyra turned. Something inside her cracked. She didn't scream. She just glowed. Her body lit up, brighter than before. Blue light burned from her skin. Her eyes were fire. The Vrox froze. She raised one hand. A wave of force slammed into them. The walls shook. Rocks flew. Rayon shielded his eyes. When he looked up, the cave was silent again. The Vrox were gone either, buried or running. Lyra stood still, breathing hard. Her hair floated. The glow around her faded slowly. Rayon got up, holding his bleeding arm. You saved me. Lyra nodded. I didn't kill them. Rayon smiled weakly. That's twice now. You're getting good at this. But Lyra's face was serious. I can't keep holding back. It hurts. Rayon looked her in the eyes. Then we find a place where you don't have to hide, where no one controls you, no one hunts you. Lyra turned her head. I know where we can go, she whispered. Rayon blinked. You remember? A little. Right. She pointed up toward the ice ceiling. There's a ship. A hidden one. They kept it in orbit in case I ever escaped. Rayon stood. Can we reach it? Lyra nodded. We move fast. In orbit, silent above the moon, the old stealth ship sat waiting. It had no crew, no weapons. Just one command. Wait for Zeta, as the galaxy called her dangerous. The Council wanted her erased. But now she was waking up, and with Rayon by her side, for the first time in her life, she had a choice. The ice winds howled behind them. Rayon and Lyra ran across the frozen cliffs. The sky above them shimmered in colors pink, blue, violet. The atmosphere of Myra 7 was thin, but beautiful. Deadly to every step they took toward the launch site. Felt heavier. Not just from the cold, but from the weight of what was coming. Above them, hidden in low orbit, a black stealth ship floated quietly. It had no crew, no signal, but Lyra knew it was waiting. I remember now, she said as they climbed the final ridge. They built it just for me. In case of emergency escape. Rayon stopped to catch his breath. And you think it still works? She nodded. If the failsafe wasn't triggered, it'll power on when it detects me. Rayon looked up. Then let's hope it remembers you, like I do. Behind them, Drek Varun watched from the shadows. He had followed their trail through the frozen tunnels. The Vrox were gone, some dead, some scattered. But the real danger wasn't over. He had been ordered to bring her in, but something had changed. She had saved that engineer. She had spared her enemies, and now she wanted to leave, not destroy. Drek lowered his weapon. He would follow, but not to stop her. This time, he just wanted to see how far she'd go. At the top of the ridge, Lyra raised her hand. Blue light pulsed from her palm. Moments later, clouds above cracked open, and the stealth ship decloaked. It hovered just above the ground, lowering a ramp with smooth, silent motion. Sleek, black, and shaped like a bird. No logos, no flags, just purpose. Rayon stepped back, eyes wide. That's beautiful, Lyra nodded. She was called the Solstice, I think. She was my home once. They ran aboard inside. The ship came to life. Lights flickered on. Soft hums echoed through the halls. The AI voice spoke gently. Welcome back, Zeta. Biosignal confirmed. Controls unlocked. Rayon looked around. Okay, this I can work. He dropped his tool bag and rushed to the cockpit. See if she still flies. Lyra followed, her heart racing. Not from fear but hope, the engines roared. The ground shook. The stealth ship lifted from the surface of Myra 7. Fire trailing from its thrusters. Inside, Rayon strapped into the pilot's seat, his hands dancing over the old controls. He wasn't a trained pilot, but he had fixed enough ships to know how to fly one. Lyra sat beside him. Yes, her hands shaking slightly. Not from power, but from emotion. I never thought I'd leave this moon, she whispered. Rand looked at her. Where do you want to go? She closed her eyes. Somewhere I can breathe. Somewhere no one calls me a weapon. Rand smiled. Then we'll make that place. But they weren't alone. As the Solstice reached the edge of orbit, 3 alien ships dropped from hyperspace. Ethery interceptors, golden armor, sharp wings. Built for speed and war, one hailed them. Unregistered ship. Identify and prepare to be boarded. Rand swore. Of course. He looked at Lyra. They're not going to let us go. Lyra stood and walked to the front window. She placed her hand on the glass. Her eyes glowed. This is your last warning, said the E3 captain. Turn. Over Subject Zeta, or be destroyed. Lyra didn't answer. Rand checked the ship's weapons. We've got defense turrets, but nothing strong enough to beat 3 warships. Lyra turned to him. Then don't fight, just fly. What? I'll handle them. Rayan hesitated. If you do this, if they see what you can do, they already know what I can do, but they don't know what I won't do. Stepped into the center of the ship, her glow returned. Brighter than ever before, she opened her hands, and the stars around the ship bent. The interceptors froze, their systems overloaded, their weapons jammed. One by one, they drifted off course as if gravity had turned against them. Lyra's voice echoed through their coms. I don't want to hurt you. Leave us be, or I will show you what I left behind in the labs you built. The E3 captain trembled in his chair. She's evolved. Stand down, another voice said. And then they disappeared. All 3 ships jumped away. Rayan stared at Lyra, speechless. You didn't destroy them. I didn't have to. The stars opened up in front of them. The Solstice now flew free past moons, past patrols, past everything that once hunted her. Rayan leaned back in the pilot seat. So where now? Lyra looked at the map screen. She pointed to an unmarked region. Out there, deep space. I don't want to hide. I want to build something new. Rayan nodded. Then that's where we go. Far behind them, Drek Varuin stood. Inside his own ship, watching the jump signature fade, he tapped his com. Subject Zeta has escaped orbit. Do not pursue, Council responded. Explain. Drek turned off the com and smiled. She's not your weapon anymore. The Solstice drifted silently through deep space. No planets nearby, no patrols, no voices on the com, just stars and freedom. Rayan sat in the control room watching data. Scroll across the screen. Engines stable. Life support good. Fuel level at 63%. He turned and smiled. We're doing better than I expected. Lyra stood at the window, her arms crossed. She had been quiet since they escaped the E3 warships. Rayan walked over. You okay? She nodded slowly. They called me a weapon. Again. You showed them mercy. That's not what a weapon does. I showed them fear too. Rayan placed a hand on her shoulder. Gave them a chance to live. That matters. Lyra turned. But it won't stop them. They'll still chase. Me, Rayan didn't deny it. Then we keep running. No, Lyra said firmly. I don't want to run. I want to prove I'm more than what they made me. Meanwhile, far across the galaxy, a meeting was happening deep inside the Galactic Council's fortress. A huge dark chamber, filled with tall figures, politicians, generals, and alien leaders from every known sector. A large screen showed a picture of Lyra glowing in midair. Ships drifting around her like toys. One general slammed his fist on the table. She can warp gravity with a thought. This is exactly why we built the containment labs, an E3 ambassador replied. She had a chance to destroy us. Didn't she will next time? A quiet voice cut through the room. Drek Varuin stepped out of the shadows. You're all afraid, he said. Afraid of something you don't control? She's unstable, someone said. You saw what she did. Saw her hold back. Twice. I've captured assassins, warlords, and AI gods. None of them showed that kind of choice. Another leader spoke. And you still failed your mission? Drek didn't blink. No, I succeeded. She's becoming something more than what you made her. The council fell silent, but one voice remained cold. Then if you won't stop her, someone else will. Back! On the solstice, Lyra opened a locked room. Inside was a long chamber with glowing panels, old armor, and small capsules. Rayan followed her in. What is this? Lyra touched a panel. The screen lit up, showing her young face back when she was just a child in a white room. They trained me here, she said. This was my mobile lab. I was never meant to live a life, just follow orders. She opened one of the capsules. Inside was a neural suppressor, a silver collar, once used to block her thoughts and powers. Rayan's eyes widened. They used that on you? She nodded. Every time I got too emotional, I thought feelings made me dangerous. Rayan looked at her. You're not dangerous because you have feelings. You're human because of them. She held the collar for a long time, then placed it on the floor and stepped on it. The device shattered suddenly. The ship alarms blared. Rayan jumped to the cockpit. What is it? Lyra was already there. Something's coming, fast. An alert appeared on the screen. Unidentified warp signature approaching. Tina shield detected. Within seconds, ship ripped out of hyperspace. But it wasn't Council. It wasn't AET Hari. It was worse. The Null Order? The Null were feared across the galaxy. Machines born from war. Hunters of power. They had one goal. Erase all threats. To universal balance. Their ship was jet black, with no lights or windows. Just a single glowing eye on its front. It hovered like a shadow in space. The cum crackled. You are harboring entity, Zeta. Turn her over, or face elimination. Rayan muttered. You've got to be kidding me. Lyra stood up. They're not from the Council. They don't care about control. Only removal. Can we run? Lyra checked the engines. We're not fast enough. Rayan looked around. Weapons. Too weak. The Null ship charged its cannons. Lyra closed her eyes and stepped outside, in space. Loading between her ship and the enemy, Lyra faced the dark vessel. Her glow returned brighter. It's fiercer. The Null fired. She raised her hand. A barrier formed. In front of her, pure energy. Blast hit it and bent backward, shooting into the void. Rayan watched from the ship, amazed. She's bending physics. The Null AI voice spoke again. Confirmed. Subject Zeta possesses Tier Z capability. Initiate final protocol. The ship split open, revealing a metal being within, 9 feet tall, covered in runes. A Null Reaper. It launched at her like a meteor, but Lyra did not run. She held her position. Then she whispered, I am not your weapon. And when the Reaper struck hit, shattered, her power flared. Time slowed. The Reaper's pieces drifted apart like glass. The Null ship cracked in two. It didn't explode, it disappeared as if it had never existed. Lyra floated back to the solstice. Weak, tired, but alive. Rayan helped her in. You saved us again. She smiled faintly. I didn't want to, but I had to. Rayan nodded. You're not a weapon. Lyra looked at the stars. No, I'm something new. The stars were quiet again. The solstice drifted gently near a dead system, no planets. No light, no patrols. Inside, Lyra lay in the medical bay. Her skin was pale, her breathing slow. Using her full power against the Null had taken everything from her. Rayan sat beside her, holding her hand. He hadn't slept in almost a day. He watched the soft pulse of her vitals on the screen. Steady, but fragile. She's alive, the ship's AI whispered, but she needs rest. Rayan nodded, his voice low. She's always been fighting, even now. He stood and walked toward the control room, eyes heavy. There, blinking light caught his attention. A transmission request, but not from the Council, not from the Aethery, not from the Null. This was open channel. Someone was reaching out to her, but across all frequencies the galaxy was listening. Hours passed. Lyra woke slowly, pain in her chest, her mind swirled with fragments. Her lab, the Null Reaper, and Rayan's voice calling her back. She sat up and looked around. The lights were dimmed. The air was still. She stood, weak but steady, and moved to the bridge. Rayan turned, surprised. "You should be resting." "I heard them," she said. "Heard who?" She pointed to the screen. "All of them," Rayan nodded. "The Council. The colonies. Even rebels. Everyone saw what happened. The Null never lose, but you." "I didn't win," she said. "I survived." They saw hope. Suddenly, another message came through, a shaky voice. "Human. This is Captain Arel of the Remnant Fleet. We saw the Null ship vanish. Is this real? Are you real?" Lyra stepped forward and replied calmly, "I am Lyra. I was made to be a weapon, but I don't want to be one anymore. The Council said you'd destroy us all. I could have, but I didn't. I won't. I just want to live free and speak to us," the captain said. "Tell the galaxy who you are," Rihan whispered. "They're giving you the mic." "You sure?" Lyra nodded. "Das. No more hiding." Rayon patched her signal to every corner of the known galaxy. Colony stations, deep ships, far planet, every channel lit up, billions listened, and Lyra spoke. "I am Lyra, once called Zeta. I was created in a lab, controlled by fear, trained for destruction, but I broke free. I chose not to kill those who hunted me. I chose not to destroy those who feared me. I chose a human, a man named Rayan, who reminded me I have a heart. To those who still want to hunt me, ask yourself this: why does a weapon hesitate? The answer is simple. I am not a weapon. I am not your property. I am not your fear. I am your mirror. If I can choose peace, so can you." Across the stars, her words echoed. Some cried, some raged, some listened. In the ethery homeworld, the ambassadors stood in silence. One of them removed the wanted status from their planetary system. "She's not our enemy anymore," he said. "She may be the reason we still have a future." On a rebel ship far from Earth, a young captain watched the message with tears in his eyes. "She just said what none of us could say," whispered. On Earth, news channels lit up. "Zeta speaks. Is the galaxy ready for forgiveness? Weapon or woman?" A message that changed everything. And deep in the shadows, the council grew nervous. "She's turning the people," one general said. "They'll stop fearing her," said another. Drek Veruin, watching quietly, gave a cold smile. "Good. Maybe now they'll stop fearing themselves, too." Back aboard the Solstice, Rayan turned off the transmission. He looked at Lyra. "You just started something big." She sat quietly. "I didn't mean to. I just told the truth." Rayan nodded. The truth was the most powerful weapon of all. She smiled, tired. "Then maybe I finally used one the right way." Suddenly a new signal came in, encrypted. Strange. Rayon checked it. "This isn't council or public." Hidden. He opened it. A dark screen appeared, then a voice, cold, calm, robotic. "Zeta, your message has been heard. You are free, but you are not alone." Rayan frowned. "What is this?" The screen flickered. "There are others like you. Others, born in secret labs. Others who escaped. They are waiting." Lyra's eyes widened. "Where?" "Follow the black star near the edge of Sector 9. You will find them." The screen went dark. Silence again. Rayan whispered, "There are more like you?" Lyra nodded. "I always thought I was the only one." She looked at the stars. "They need me." Rayan smiled. "Then let's go find them." The Solstice moved through the dark edge of Sector 9. No stars, no maps. Only the strange message that told Lyra to follow the black star. Rayan adjusted the controls. Engine steady. No signals. It's quiet. Too quiet. Lyra stood. Near the window, staring into the void. They said others survived, like me. Rayon looked at her. Are you ready to meet them? She nodded slowly. If they've lived in fear, like I did, and they need someone to remind them they're not alone. Suddenly, a light appeared in the dark. A single star, black, but glowing from inside. Like a dying sun, Rayon whispered. That must be it. The ship moved closer, and then space bent like a ripple through water. The solstice was pulled inside. They came out into a hidden space, surrounded by broken moons and glowing debris. It was quiet but alive. Dozens of strange ships floated nearby. Some sleek, some damaged, some built from scrap. But the real shock came when Lyra looked out the window and saw them. People like her, they glowed faintly, each in a different color. Some had scars, some had metal parts. But all of them looked at her with the same expression, recognition. She stepped outside. Her feet touched a small metal platform. The others stood nearby, silent. One girl with silver eyes stepped forward. The one who sent the message. Lyra nodded. I wasn't trying to lead anyone. I just spoke the truth. The silver-eyed girl smiled. That's why we heard you. Inside the solstice, Rayon watched as more of the survivors came forward. One had wings made of light, another had a voice that echoed like music. Some were young, some were old, but they all shared something. They were made, not born. Weapons. Experiments. Ghosts of secret labs. And now, they had each other. Lyra sat with them around a fire made of energy. We can't keep hiding, she said. The Council still fears us. The galaxy still watches. A tall boy with glowing veins said, What if we fight them? Lyra shook her head. They expect that. But what if we show them something they've never seen? Like what? Looked at Rayon, who had now joined the group. Like unity. Forgiveness. Creation instead of destruction. The others stayed quiet. Then the silver-eyed girl said, We've only known pain. But maybe it's time we build something new. And so they did. They took parts from old ships, wrecks, and tech the Council had thrown away. They began to build. Something new, a home in space. A station made not for war but for life, they called it. The Haven news of Lyra's choice spread again. The Council tried to stop the message, but it was too late. People were tired of fear, tired of secrets. Some even left the Council worlds to join the new alliance. Drek Faruin watched from a distance. He turned off his cums and whispered, She did what we never could. Weeks later, Haven was alive. Families had arrived, scientists, refugees. Even old enemies who wanted a second chance. Rayon walked through the gardens of light, outgrowing food and flowers from 12 worlds. He found Lyra looking at a view of the stars, still thinking. She smiled. Always, you did it, he said. You started with escape and ended with a new world. She looked at him. We did it. He smiled back. Then something strange appeared on the edge of the screen. Incoming ship. Unknown identity, energy level, stable, requesting docking. Lyra looked up. Another survivor? Rayon checked the signals. No, not one of us. Not Council either. Looks human. The ship docked slowly. The doors opened, and an old woman stepped out, her face marked by time, but her eyes sharp. She looked at Lyra and said softly, You're the one they couldn't control. Lyra paused. Do I know you? I was one. Of the first scientists, the woman said. I helped make the first generation. Then I ran when I saw what they planned. She looked around at the Haven. You didn't burn the galaxy. You healed it. Lyra nodded. Not with fire. Choices. The woman smiled. Then maybe humanity still has a chance. That night, Lyra stood alone on the outer deck of the Haven. She looked at the stars, billions of them, and for the first time, she felt no fear. Rayon walked beside her and said, So what happens now? She smiled, peaceful and strong. Now we live.